today I'm going to be covering managing face while dealing with mental illness. I know Courtney covered managing face earlier in her presentation. She did an excellent job. However, I wanted to go a little bit more in depth. We know face work describes behaviors that we use to project the image we want to portray, otherwise known as our face. However, when someone's behavior appears erratic or irrational or bizarre, we have a tendency to scrutinize them, and the first thing we tend to do is look at their physical appearance. When we are able to see a disability with our own eyes, our brains are able to rationalize and understand an abnormal behavior, such as an adult with Down syndrome who is repeatedly asking a question or even hovering in kind of a corner of a room in a large crowd. A lot of us tend to do that anyway because we want to avoid the crowd, but it may be a little bit more noticeable when somebody else with a physical disability does. If another adult with no physical disability has the same behaviors, we may tend to question it and it may appear to be a little abnormal. That adult just may be someone who is struggling with an invisible disease, otherwise known as a mental illness. We are more educated about the signs and symptoms of mental illness today, and there's more treatment available than ever. However, it doesn't change the fact that the mental illness exists, and even with the most amount of access, I should say, with more access to healthcare, treatment, therapies, or medications, it does not mean that the symptoms related to this mental illness will still not arise, and people will still not have to manage them. And while managing them or dealing with them may create issues with their face. There is no way we could cover all the symptoms that are associated with mental health disorders. However, a lot of them include irritability, mood swings, excessive worry, lack of concentration, risk-taking behavior, delusions, and lots more. An average person without mental health disorders can establish change if needed and maintain a face. Many symptoms of mental health illnesses are not experienced daily. However, they come in waves, episodes, or are small time frames, and a lot of times they can be triggered by additional stress, traumatic experiences, or unknown events. They can last a few days or a few months, and either way, their ability to maintain face or rationalize what they need to do to maintain face can be altered. For example, we use a vice president of a large credit union. He's responsible, he's trustworthy when it comes to managing money and investing it for others. He has created this strong, competent face. However, he starts experiencing symptoms of mental illness and begins making poor money decisions, over-investing, taking risky business transactions, all the while his company can't understand why. He doesn't appear to be sick. He doesn't act like he's sick. They try to speak with him about the behavior. However, he continues on this false sense of this grand mal of false sense. He just doesn't realize. He thinks what he's doing is most important and is not willing to hear anyone out. Long story short, he loses his job. His reputation is tarnished forever, essentially, in that world. These symptoms have cost him his face and affected probably both other faces as well. It isn't until the vice president is back to his mental health homeostasis, essentially, that he realizes the consequences of those actions. The average person without mental health issues probably would have been able to recognize such behavior either as poor, risky, or inconsistent, or would have understood it once they were made aware by the company of their poor behavior. Managing face can be extremely difficult for anyone. However, managing face with an invisible disease makes it a bit more difficult. I think it is more important for people to be compassionate and understanding and educate themselves, especially when it comes to seeing someone that doesn't look sick. However, they're out of their norm. It's really important to kind of step back and just be understanding. Because you don't know if they're working really hard to kind of manage that face. And that's